everyone, welcome back to another episode. We've got Pete and Aglin here today with us. Hi Pete and Aglin, how are you?
Great, thank you. Lovely to see you.
Nice to see you too. How are you this week? What have you guys been doing?
Well, why don't you start, Aglin? You're more beautiful than I am.
It is in the eye of the beholder.
Isn't that what they say? Beauty before age.
I don't know. I mean, we have different form of beauty: Asian, non-Asian beauty.
I'm not able to comment.
Just been busy with work. I'm doing a lot more reading this week than my usual week, and that's been really good because I enjoy reading. Yes.
I've had a busy week. I gave a talk for CU on Monday night on Ecclesiastes, and I have led 4 Bible studies this week, and I've tried to catch up with a few people as well.
Nice.
So I feel like it's been pretty busy, catching up with people, preparing, reading, chatting.
And so I'm going to mention about doing lots of readings. So can you tell us at least one of the things that you have been reading?
You go grab it. Hang on. It's a book recommendation from Ella Francis Reese.
A New Day.
Yeah.
Good book.
So it's a really, really good book. I think it is very relatable for someone like myself, and I reckon it will be for a lot of people. It talks a lot about things like hunger, anxiety, control, shame, anger, despair, but all sort of looking from the biblical point of view. And she speaks through her own experiences, the author, and I really like books like that. There are many other books that I read that are just very much biographies. So,
Biographies. Yes. Interesting. You should write one. Biography.
Success in terms of writing books and making a name for yourself. It's a weird way of thinking about success.
Is it a measure of success, really?
Well, in some cultures, being successful is about having a name, having status, being influential, being kind of well known.
True.
And there's a sense in which, just to use biblical language, that could be seen as being a little worldly. There's actually more to life than just making a name for yourself or having money or even getting your dream job. There's more happening.
Or you could be writing books because you think it's going to encourage other people.
That could be the case. But as we all know, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of books in the world. And let's be honest, right? Some of them are not read by a lot of people.
Very true.
All right. The first question is, what is your hair care routine?
What is my... Now, I think that must go to Aglin first, because you have a hair care routine. Whereas I don't have a routine. I mean, let's be honest. All I have to do is shave my head once a week.
Oh, you see, there's the routine.
That's how you
and
take
chuck
progress.
and chuck a bit of shampoo on the head occasionally when I'm having a shower. It's really complex.
It sounds very time efficient there.
Well, that's one of the good things about having short hair. There are some advantages having short hair. Whereas if your hair's long all the time, you've got to wash a lot, you've got to comb it and brush it a lot. It's a high management thing. And I'm a low kind of management guy.
You probably overestimate how often women
unable to
wash their
comment
hair.
about the beauty routines that many women embrace.
Hair care routine. I wash my hair with shampoo and conditioner, and then I dry my hair.
The question, Aglin, is not whether or not you use shampoo or conditioner, because everybody does. The issue is how often.
Like it will be daily.
See, daily. See, her routine's daily.
If I exercise daily, see, if I have a day when I'm resting from exercises, then I don't wash my hair that day.
Well, that's because no one else is going to come too close, so, you know. You don't need to smell great.
That's the perks of COVID-19.
Yeah.
Like people don't come close enough to smell you.
That's exactly right. Then you can just be messy for a whole day or 2 days or 3 days. You could even wear the same clothes for a couple of days in a row and no one would notice or care.
But I already do that before COVID-19.
You are such a fashion icon, Aglin.
Save water.
Yeah, amazing. Aglin, the fashion icon.
Well, she doesn't get out of tracky dacks. I mean, who would want to live in tracky dacks all day for most days? Aglin loves them.
They're so comfortable. And you can do like splits if you just feel like it, and then not do it if you don't. You can do a handstand and, you know, it will just be there. Nothing changes.
You're so
Not too much to worry about. Oh, so good. Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you have done to keep yourself sane during this lockdown?
What are some things I've done?
Yeah.
I've tried to make sure that I go for a run every day. So as soon as this finishes, I'm going for a run. I'm trying to do some reading that will stimulate me. So I'm reading some books about God that I find interesting and engaging, something to keep me alive spiritually. I'm watching a bit of Netflix. There's a great show on Netflix called Kim's Convenience. It's a little sitcom. It's a comedy about a Korean family who run a convenience store, a corner shop in Canada. Great little program.
What's the name of the movie again? I can't hear.
Kim's Convenience.
Kim's Convenience.
Okay.
It's a series, yeah. There are a couple of different seasons.
It's a one series that I think Pete would not watch, but
You're
Pete
actually right.
watch. So.
You watch it, or does Rosie do the watching?
I've watched every episode.
Oh wow.
Oh wow. Yeah.
How do you like all the stereotypical references of like a Korean Christian and Asians versus non-Asians?
Well, this is the great challenge for the show, isn't it? Because if you ask me, are they deeply Christian, and my answer is no, not at all. So it's a show about people who just go to church. And in some ways, it just gives you story after story about people who go to church but whose lives have not been transformed by knowing Jesus. So I don't identify with the main characters in the story because I don't see them as being Christian. I see them as being people who go to church. And in a Western culture, that's what lots of people do. They just go to church because it's the thing to do. Going to church doesn't make you a Christian. It may make you sort of more respectable in the eyes of people in the community, but it doesn't
what
make
makes
you
you
a
a
Christian.
Pete?
Yeah.
I think it's got something to do with believing that God raised Jesus from death and gave him a new life. Jesus for a Christian is not simply a teacher like Buddha or Muhammad. Jesus is alive now, and we would say, I would argue, that he rules the world, rules the universe. He is a living God. So if you want to know God, I think you need to know Jesus. If you don't know Jesus, I would argue, in the end, you don't know God. God's identified himself by giving himself a name. And he's demonstrated that historically by raising Jesus from death. Humanity tried to kill Jesus and take away his name. And God says, no, this is wrong, and raised Jesus to new life again and said, that's me. So Christianity is about knowing Jesus, trusting him, living his way, walking through life with Jesus. It's a relationship. It's being involved in his business.
Yeah.
Involved in his life.
Yeah.
Life's not fundamentally about me, it's about him.
No, so you talked about Jesus and Christianity. So so if we want to know more about Christianity, we need to know more about Jesus first. So for people who don't like reading, what would you recommend them to grow their faith and to come to know Jesus and Christianity?
I've just got a little problem. But there are people who don't like reading.
They exist.
I mean, if you're a university student, you need to read. It's just part of study. It's a part of getting a degree. Now, if you don't always like reading, there's a thing called audio book, where you can listen to someone else read. So you can go for a walk, and you can listen as someone reads to you. That's a great way to read. And you can get different books of the Bible on audiobook. That's fine. That's the way some people read the Bible. They listen to it. Now, if you're a more visual person and you need to look at something, you can go to the Bible Society and you get a visual as well as a story to help you understand books of the Bible. So there's lots of different ways of accessing the story of Jesus and engaging with the story of Jesus. And if you really wanted another way of engaging with the story of Jesus, you could come to Focus on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Meet people, talk to people, listen to a talk which might explain a part of the Bible, be part of a discussion group which will help you to think through what it means to be a Christian. So getting involved with Focus would be a great way forward.
So what I'm hearing is there is no option to not engage in the Bible.
That's exactly right, because you can sit in a room with someone and, dare I say it, you could even hold someone's hand. And it may feel really great, but if you don't speak to each other, in the end, you don't have a deep relationship. Words and listening to words are fundamental to every relationship. And God identifies himself by speaking. So if you don't listen to what God has said, in the end, I don't think you can have a deeper relationship with God at all. In fact, how would you know that the thing you feel actually has anything to do with God? The only way you can work out who God is to listen to what he says about himself. So you've got to read, and I would argue you've got to engage with the story the Bible tells, because the Bible is God speaking to us. It's God giving us his story. You need to read.
So sorry to people who don't like books, you still have to read.
Well, it's like saying that you can have a relationship with someone, but you never have to listen to them. And my response is, who wants a friend like that? Where you can speak, but they never listen to you. That would drive you completely nuts.
Yes, I agree.
Words are fundamental to relationships, both with people and with God. The only time that words don't really matter, arguably, is if you had a pet turtle and you talk to the turtle. The trouble is the little turtle, he's not talking back at you. So at one level, you actually don't have a relationship. It may feel therapeutic for you to talk to the turtle. Hi, little turtle. Hi, little turtle. But there's no relationship because you're getting nothing back. There's no words. Which is why some people prefer turtles to people, because people can speak back to you. Whereas turtles can't. That's why some people say the dog is a man's best friend, because the dog can't talk to you. So no matter what the dog does, you just assume the dog likes you.
So talking about reading the Bible, do you have any favorite Bible verses, Pete and Aglin?
At one level, that's just a crazy question.
Because
Because
everything.
I would have thought that when I was young, I had some Bible verses that I liked. And then I got a little bit older and the Bible verses changed. And I got a little bit older and the Bible verses kept changing.
Mm.
So when you talk about having a favorite Bible verse, it's like kind of asking, do you have a favorite memory of your childhood, or of a conversation with your mum or dad, or a conversation with a friend? Because it's not just one, there's lots. But if you really push me hard, I'd probably say 1 John 4:10. In this is love, not that we loved him, but that he loved us and sent his son to be the atoning sacrifice for our sins. That one verse is Christianity. God the Father sending his son into the world to make peace with us, to bring us back into a relationship with him, not by simply coming as a teacher telling us what to do, but by coming as a substitute who's willing to die, to live the life we do not live, to die the death we deserve to die. He sacrifices himself in order to bring us back into a relationship with God. Because he dies for us in our place, we can stand before God without fear. He pays the debt we owe. Which is why Christianity is about relying upon Jesus and what he has done, not trying to be a hero and save yourself. That's why Christianity is different from Islam and Buddhism and Taoism and Confucianism. It's different from absolutely everything. Yeah. Christianity says Jesus is the hero in the story, not you. Every other story, both secular and religious, is all about you. You be the hero. Which is really bad news ultimately for people, because what happens if you're not the hero and you can't be the hero? You just get depressed. You feel weighed down and burdened.
Maybe that's why we have so many people struggling with depression and anxiety too.
That's exactly right, because someone keeps telling them you need to be the hero. And it starts often with parents wanting their kids to be successful and to be beautiful and winners. And you carry this expectation all the way through growing up that you'll be somebody one day if you achieve something. That some days if you're beautiful enough or bright enough or smart enough or successful enough, you'll be worth loving, you'll be significant, you'll be worthwhile. That's the message we hear all the time. And Christianity gives you a completely different message. It says you are loved by the eternal God. And because you're loved, you can grow and change and mature and try things, even if you fail.
Something similar in those wordings, but different wordings. But I'm with P in that, like, favorite verses don't exist, because there's just a lot of really, God's word is so good. But recently I've been thinking a lot about Psalms 27 verse 1. The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life, of whom shall I be afraid? I think I have a lot of things that sort of weigh me down. I was looking at Mark chapter 4 with Ray today, and it's on the parable of the sower. And one of it was the seed being sown on like thorny amongst the thorns, and how that's a reflection of the worries of life and deceitfulness of wealth and worldly desires that eventually pull someone away from God's truth. And I think that really resonated with me. I find I really wrestle so much with it. And this verse always reminds me of where my hope is. So that's one verse that I've been looking at every day these days.
Yep. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. Shall we go into something deeper?
Of course, we've been really
Very-
shallow up until now. There's been no depth
No,
at all.
something even deeper. Even
Yeah.
deeper.
Even deep.
I mean, we may have started off shallow with the hair, but we've gone deeper. But if you want to go deeper still, you do that.
Because there is a question about marriage. It says that the desire to be married is good, and the desire to serve God as a single is also good. But how do I rightly desire marriage and hopefully pursue a relationship with someone as one who is single? How can I continue to serve and commit my time and energy in ministry while I'm single, while pursuing a relationship with someone for the potential of being married at the same time? So is it a matter of idolatry or poor use of time if I were to seek to be set up for dates with friends of friends so that I may continue to meet people of the opposite gender during my time of singleness in hope of meeting someone to be married to down the road?
I think that's a question, Aglin, designed just for you.
Why aren't you married? You walk the path.
Well, you're walking the path, so why don't you tell us about it?
I think I have a book to recommend in response to that. But before that, I think you can, and I've had many conversations with other Christians who are single as well. Had many conversations with them about sort of their singleness and whether they thought it appropriate to be seeking out potential partners. And I think the consensus that we have is that the desire to be married is good. That there is no wrong in desiring to be married, but every person can only answer for themselves what is in their heart when they are desiring to be married. Do you want to be married because you're feeling really lonely? Because all your friends are getting married? Even COVID-19 can't stop them from getting married. Or is it because you are finding that there is some goodness in marriage that you're missing out on, and that just you would like to get there? So I think, yes, you can helpfully pursue a relationship as a single person towards marriage. But how though? I'll handball that to Pete. How do you helpfully pursue a relationship with someone as two people who are not married yet, going towards the path of marriage?
In some ways, it's just a difficult question to answer, isn't it? Because you're asking a pathway question as though there's some right path there somewhere. And if you find the exact right path, it'll all be okay. You just got to keep remembering that Christianity fundamentally is about a relationship with Christ and trusting that He will guide you as you walk through life, as you journey through life. And the path will look different for different people. Now, there are some things I think are really clear, right? If you're a serious Christian, right? If you're a Christian, should you go out with someone who is not a Christian? Right? And my answer would be, I think the Bible's pretty clear about that. It's not a good thing to do. If you're going out with someone, should you have sex with them and sleep with them? I think the Bible's pretty clear about that. Not a good thing to do. So there's a sense in which the Bible tells you what the big boundary lines are. You know how in a game of football or a game of soccer, you've got a boundary line. And you can play the game inside the boundary, but once the ball crosses the other side of the line, you've got to stop the game. So I think one of the things that Christianity is saying, it's telling you all the time where the boundary line is. And it's giving you a measure of freedom inside to sort it out for yourself. So I can remember there was a time in my life when I always had to have a girlfriend. Then I started taking Christianity seriously, and I decided I would be single.
How did that turn out for you?
Well, the crazy thing is, this girl came up to me while I was being single, after I'd been single for about a year, and asked me to go out with her. And I said to her I didn't want to do that because I had planned to go overseas as a missionary. But 4 days later, I contacted that girl and said I was crazy. So I realised that actually relationships and love were important to me. And I need to be realistic about the kind of person I am. So do relationships and love and romance, do those things matter to me? And the answer is yes. So I went out with the girl, and when the girl said to me, Pete, will you marry me? I said yes.
Hang on. The girl was the one who said, will you marry me?
Yes, she did. My wife asked me to
the other way
marry
around?
her. Well, this is one of my frustrations with life, right? We have all these myths, right? One of the great myths is that the boy's got to ask the girl. And I think, where is that in the Bible anywhere? Like, how do we ever get to that? Why can't women be bold and show initiative and stuff like that?
Yeah, Alicia. Be bold.
Thanks.
So you can hear what I'm saying? You can hear what I'm saying about relationships? I think you've got to be honest with yourself. Now, I knew a boy who never went out with a girl, probably until he was maybe 23, 24. First girlfriend, and he married her. I know someone else who didn't have a boyfriend probably until she was 35. Then she met someone she liked and married him. I know other people who still have not had a boyfriend, and they may be in their 40s or 50s. People are different. So you have to be honest with yourself about what kind of person you are. For some people, relationships and being in love and romance, those things really matter. But for other people, they're less important. So you've just got to be honest with yourself about who you are and what would be best for you. And I think that's what Paul is saying, 1 Corinthians 7. If you can live as a single person, do it. You're absolutely free. And make it a conscious decision. Don't simply say to yourself, I've been left on the shelf. No one wants me. No, be proactive and say, actually, this is a good thing for me. I'm so glad that I don't have to worry about what some girl or boy thinks of me all the time. And if you decide in the end that you would prefer to go out with someone or to be loved or to be married, well, go and do it. You're absolutely free. But it will look different for different people. There's no one path. All you need to know is where the boundary lines are, and you're free to work it out yourself within the boundary line. So yes, Alicia, if there's a boy, you can ask him out.
What about the fear of rejection?
Boys don't fear rejection.
No, she's talking about herself being rejected.
Look, all relationships are difficult. Every time you tell someone something about yourself, you're opening yourself up to rejection. Relationships are about building trust. The reality is you're always going to be hurt by other people. So you've got to decide whether or not you're willing to be hurt and open yourself up, or whether or not, because you want to protect yourself, you actually don't let people get to know you at all. In which case, you never really know what it means to be loved. So if you want to be self-protective, Alicia, your friendships will be limited. But if you open yourself up, who knows what the good Lord will do in terms of giving you good friends and having great friendships.